Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do a handover video on your Rapido. It's a 966M, meaning it's on the Mercedes chassis, and so obviously Mercedes, nice, I think it's the 5-cylinder engine. So you got your washer fluid on the left, brake fluid, sorry, attached to the servo just behind there, just next door to that. Engine oil filling point is that one just there. Engine oil dipstick is the red top one just there. You've then got your engine coolant reservoir, which is this one here, and your actual engine battery itself is that one just there. So it's a nice good sized battery. Air conditioning, obviously you've got all that sort of stuff. Got bits and pieces there telling you about it if it ever needed regassing and all that kind of thing. But other than that, obviously it's had its full service done, so you shouldn't need to touch anything like that anyway. Diesel filling point is this one just down here. So undo that using your ignition key. Pop that open, get into it like that. Down low here we've got your wastewater drain. Toilet cassette locker is the next one just here as well. So to actually get that to come out, you lift on the little yellow tab there and then pull it out towards you. I'll just pop these keys in my pocket. Once it is out, all you need to know really is that you empty it out from here and press and hold the yellow button just there when you're doing that, and then just push it all the way back until it clips in like that. Fresh water inlet is this one just above that there, and the hookup point is this one just here. Obviously the hookup cable is for if you're going to want to use your sort of main sockets and anything on 240 volt inside the vehicle. So once you've got that in, this here is your battery charger. So you can leave this one on all the time, so when you plug it in, this charger will automatically start charging up your leisure batteries. Fuse box next door to that, fuses are just behind here, and your trip switches just there to the right of that. These circular vents around the vehicle, just so that you know, are all to do with your heating. So when you turn the heating on, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, the actual blown air will come out through these circular vents, which are dotted about all over the place. Your main leisure battery is this one here, but there is also one, I think, inside here as well. So you've got like a double leisure sort of system going on. So that one's there. So I think they just sort of run in parallel basically. So essentially when you plug your hookup in, this battery charger here comes on and automatically starts charging up your leisure. There's not much to show around the back. I will just show you on the inside of this door. So this is the offside garage door. You've got this little bit just here, which is quite important. So this, by the way, is your boiler just in there. The little red bit there needs to be in its upright position where it is now. If it's not in its upright position, then basically the boiler will just drop out and it will drain out all the water. So it's an automatic dropout valve, and so it will happen when your boiler gets really cold, so towards like freezing temperatures. It will drop the water out of it so that it can't freeze and expand and sort of do any damage to it. So just make sure that it's in the upright position before you start trying to use it. That's just something to point out. Then got your heating vent just here. So that's your boiler vent basically. So put your hand underneath there to make sure that there's any heat coming out from that. Make sure it's doubly, double check that it's actually on. Your external gas point is this one just here. And there is a little key lock to lock that one up. And your external hot and cold water point is there. We've got some wet storage on the outside just here, if you want it. So that pushes all the way in, and you have to lift this little tab up to get it over that. That stops it from opening up at all. If you forget to lock these up, it won't open up on the motorway or anything like that. Step switch to get the step to come out is that one just there inside the door. So obviously that's your main step to get in and out just there. And then you've got your refillable gas bottle, so it's a gas low bottle. Refillable point is this just here, and you put that back on just like that. turning the bottle on is just a case of turning this round to the left here anti-clockwise, and then turning it off is clockwise all the way around to the right. So you've got steel braided pigtail hoses here for the actual gas system itself, which is typical of Gaslow. And also, like I said, it's an all completely refillable system. You've got auto changeover up there, so if you did want to fit another bottle onto the side of this one, then you can do. Just pop another pigtail just like this one onto that one there. So leaving the gas on for the minute because I've got a few bits on inside that I want to show you, but first I'll just show you the cab, because you've got a really nice high spec cab. Usually the Mercedes ones are quite a high spec anyway, but you've got a couple of bits and pieces, like you've got this reversing camera which comes on when you pop it in reverse. Hazard warning lights just there in the middle. Obviously the automatic gearbox is a huge bonus. These Mercedes automatics are absolutely brilliant, really lovely to drive. I think it's the 2.7 in this one, or it might well be the 3 litre, I'm not entirely sure. But either way, they're both fantastic engines. Plenty powerful enough for anything really. But yeah. Cruise control has been fitted just down here. So this isn't the original cruise control, but that has been fitted just there. So if you want to use that, then you can do. Heated seats, so you've got these two little dials just here, one there and one there. That's for your heated seats. Air conditioning works from this switch just here, and obviously that will only work when you have your blowers up 1 or above. Single din Blaupunkt little sort of head unit just there. I'm not sure what that has exactly. Can't really see, doesn't really say. So you got, I think it says it takes CDs, but yeah, there you go. Right, storage just under here for whatever you want for whilst you're driving. You can move the mirrors just from here if you need to help, you know, obviously with vision from those. You've got the blinds which meet up across all the way across the front windscreen and on the sides, and you've got a couple of lights up here as well. So I think that's about it really for the cab. Main parts really being obviously the automatic gearbox, which I'm sure you're already aware, obviously, as you bought the van, but you know, that's a really lovely gearbox, and nice and reliable too. Heater settings all just work from here in the middle, and so yeah, it's all pretty self-explanatory really. So just above the door here, got your sort of control panel. Nice and simple. You've got an on and off switch here in the top left hand corner. Battery level sensor, so battery 1, battery 2. So battery 1 will be your engine battery, and battery 2 is the leisure. So 12.2 in the leisure, 12.4 in the engine. The one below that is your freshwater level. So the freshwater is pretty much completely empty basically. You've then got a lights on and off switch just here, awning light switch just there, so the awning light comes on when you press that one on, as you can see. So I'll switch that one off for now. Water pump. Now the pump's not going to get to any kind of pressure at the moment because there's no water in the tank, so I'm going to switch that off for now. Fans, I'm assuming there's probably, yeah, there you go. So you've got a, so the light switch is this one here, and I'm assuming that's a fan. So the fan blows out straight to the side or the top, so that'll be through here. So that's your switch for that. And then you've got aux 1 and aux 2. So those two basically are for, usually are just for extras. So anything on the top there, like you've got this Teleco sat dish. So I would imagine either aux 1 or aux 2 is what powers that. Got a couple of other bits and pieces as well. So you've got all the receivers and things like that for the Teleco. And yeah, so it's all there. But I'm just saying, you know, I would imagine that the aux 1 and aux 2 probably power those, and also sometimes they power up these sort of ignitions and things like that that you've got on things, for all sorts of different reasons. So when you come into the van, you're probably going to want to turn the power on up there, lights, and these two aux 1 and aux 2. and then you'd be good to go to use bits and pieces around the van. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you've got some fresh water in the tank, which at the moment there's not. Turn the pump on, and then basically just come to your sink here and pull the water through on the hot and the cold side. If there's no water leaking outside from the back around where that boiler drain is, where I showed you, and the boiler drain is up, this should get to pressure on hot and cold and shouldn't be spraying out any kind of air or anything like that. Once you're happy that there's no air or anything coming out through the tap and that you're all up to pressure, you can then ignore that and then go ahead and start using your boiler and things like that, do whatever you want. So I'll go through that in a minute with you, but that's really important to know that. So like I said, the first thing you want to do, pump on, and then just make sure that you've double checked that the boiler is actually full of water by pulling that hot side through and making sure there's no air coming out through the tap. So the reason that there's, I'll just quickly run you through that. The reason there'll be air coming through the tap there, and that means that it's not full, is that the hot water system runs through the boiler first before coming through to the taps. So if you pull the water through on the hot side and nothing comes out, it means that it's actually filling up the boiler before it gets to the tap. So you need to make sure that you wait until that water's coming through nice and clearly before you can start using the boiler. If you use the boiler before filling it up with water or before double checking that it's actually full, basically what tends to happen is it will get too hot. If you start trying to heat it up with nothing in it, it will get too hot and it will sort of melt things and, you know, go wrong. So just make sure that you do that first. It's really important. But yeah. So the fridge is underneath there, and it's an automatic energy selecting fridge. It can't really get much easier than this particular model, to be completely honest with you. So I'll switch it off for now, let's just so I can show you completely how to use it. So you've got the main on and off switch here, the energy selector here, and the temperature controller there. So all you have to do, quite literally, what'll happen is I'll press it on and it will choose what it thinks is the most efficient way of getting the fridge cold. So at the moment I've got gas on, I haven't got the engine running, and I haven't got a hookup cable plugged in. So what it will do is it will cycle through those three options. In fact, what it will actually do is it will cycle through the three options, but it will go try gas first, and then it will try 240, and then it will try engine running. So if I turn it on, because I've got the gas on, it will just choose that straight away. See there? So before I've even been able to speak, it's chosen gas straight away and it's lit up. When these lights go out and this one stays green, you're on. That's it, it's working. If I want to change manually to another setting, so if I wanted to change to the electric hookup, I would press that until that light comes on, and then press it again there, and it changes over to hookup, and it'll start flashing because there's no hookup cable plugged into the van, and it knows that. If I press it again, it'll go there to the 12 volt, and again it'll keep on flashing because the engine isn't running, and that won't work. So for now I need to leave it on gas, it will light up again, and then it'll go green. So basically it'll just do whatever it needs to do automatically. But if you want to choose something different, so for example, if you have a hookup cable plugged in and you have the gas on and it chooses gas, but you want to use it on electric hookup, then you can just flick through there and just choose the electric hookup one, which is the one on the right. You need to get the fridge cold before you go away on either mains electric or gas before you switch it over to the 12 volt. And like I said, the 12 volt is for when your engine's running only. If you put a load of not cold stuff, if that makes sense, in this fridge, and then just switch over to 12 volt, drive where you're going, it won't have made any difference to what's inside the fridge by the time you get there. It's because the 12 volt electric element in the back isn't powerful enough to get the fridges cold, alone. So you have to already have the fridge cold first via the gas or the electric mains, and then switch over to 12 volt just for when you're driving. And I would imagine that when you start the engine up, it'll probably switch over to 12 volt for you anyway, but just make sure that you do that, and make sure that you have the fridge cold prior to going, because it's quite important. So that's your fridge. You've got a 3-burner hob up here, So you've got obviously a little diagram showing you which one does which, but you can probably work it out. Ignition does all three, and you basically just push in around to the left whilst igniting, and it will light up. All right, you can see it's lit up quite nicely. The only other thing I need to show you on here, it's so self-explanatory and easy to use, but the only thing I'm going to, well, two things I'm going to show you is that you've got a thermocouple on the back of each of these, which is this little prong here. And what a thermocouple does is it recognises burning gas, and so when you light any of these up, and in fact any of the gas appliances in the entire motorhome, they've all got it. When you light it up, the thermocouple will recognise that burning gas, and it will allow the gas to carry on coming through until you turn it off. But if you light it up, it'll recognise it, and if for some reason the flame gets blown out but you don't turn it off here, the thermocouple will do its job and it will switch the gas off so that you can't fill the van up with unburnt gas. So that's all working. We have to check all of that as part of the hab check. You then got your oven and grill. So you've got a little travel safety catch up here, so push up on that whilst you're pulling it open. If I can do it with one hand, there you go, and then it'll open up. All you have to do is push in on this to get the ignition to work on the gas, on the grill and on the oven at the same time. Push in and round to the right for the grill. Push in and round to the left for the oven. So that's that. Really, really nice and easy. Just remembered as well, the only other thing I was going to show you on this is if you light any three of these burners up, you're going to need to wait for about 5 or 6 minutes, or however long it takes for any which of these to cool down before you put the lid down. Obviously don't put the lid down whilst it's actually lit up, because it will just disintegrate, or it would shatter straight away. But if you put this down after you've had a burner on, like straight after you've switched it off, the exact same thing will happen after a little bit longer time. If it's really, really hot underneath and cold on the top, that glass, I promise you, it will just shatter. I've seen it so many times. So please just wait for these to cool down before you put the lid down. You don't have to put this is a little cover here for your sink. You don't have to put that there if you don't want to, but I just thought it slipped in there quite nicely and doesn't get in the way of anything. So that might be a good place to put it, or sometimes they do tend to leave a space for it, but I'm not sure where it actually is on this fan. This little bit of trim here doesn't actually look like a cupboard when you first look at it, but when you push in on that, it will open up, and you've got your gas isolator taps there. So the top one there is for your oven and grill. The second one down is a 3-burner hob. The next one down is your fridge, and the bottom one is the boiler. So if you thought or were worried about any which of those appliances, you can isolate them there from the gas. And all you have to do that is turn it 90 degrees so that it's facing horizontal. So it's facing vertical, sorry, rather than horizontal. You don't need to do that when you leave the van for any period of time. If you're going to leave the van and you're worried about the gas, just turn the gas bottle off. That does the exact same job. It's just that if you want to isolate a particular appliance, you can do it from in there. So like I say, you don't have to turn that off every time you get out. It's not necessary at all. I've already shown you in the wardrobe briefly. All of your paperwork for all the appliances is in here. TV aerial booster, if you want to use the TV aerial, the tilt and turn one, then obviously by all means you can do that. But you've also got the sat dome on the roof there. I'm not much of a whiz with the the satellites and things like that, so I can't really go into a huge amount of detail on all of that kind of thing. But I know it's all there, it's all on and all working, so you shouldn't have a problem with that whatsoever. This pulls out. A little extra drawer in there if you want to use that. I will get onto the boiler in just a minute, but I just want to get these bits out of the way because I do tend to forget bits like this quite often. So right, so shower unit, really nice and simple. You just got the hot and cold shower just there. This bit here folds out and then sort of marries up in a few different places to make a full shower, sort of like a separate shower unit. obviously there's lights in here that go up over the top there. There'll be a switch for that somewhere or other, just here, look. So that's your switch there for the lights in the bathroom. They don't look very bright on the video, but when you're actually there at night, they are, you know, plenty bright enough. The toilet, really nice and simple. You've got this here, which opens the flap into the actual cassette. So that's now open, and this is closed. So when you open it up, whatever you put in the bowl there drops down into the cassette, and when you close it back over, that closes that gap between there and the cassette. You need to make sure that when you are finished and you know you've opened it up, you need to make sure that you close it back over. If you don't close it back over, obviously you get a bad smell coming back into the van, that's obvious. But also, if you don't close it back over, you won't be able to take the cassette out from outside. It locks it in place when it's open. So you need to make sure that you close it. And the flush is just that button just there. You need to have your water pump on for that to work, and a little bit of water in the tank, purely for the fact that basically if your water pump powers your flush system for the toilet. So if you don't have the pump on and you don't have any water in the tank, you won't be able to flush your toilet. So just bear that in mind, and try and sort of remember to have a little bit of water in the tank as best you can, so that you don't get caught out with that. This little lock, little travel catch just here if you want it. It's up to you. You have got a point here, which is, I think that's a TV bracket point, which has been sort of like mounted up into the bathroom, so it's nice and solid. These little bits here open up like that just by pushing on them, a lot like the little cupboard down there. This one doesn't here. This is just a bit sort of like a trim there. Right, so the boiler, which is probably one of the last things I need to show you really. It's a combi boiler, so it's a Trumatic combi. It's really nice and simple when you get the hang of it, but I will say it can seem a little bit confusing when I'm explaining them, so I'm going to try and explain it as best I can. So the Trumatic C, the one that says Trumatic C on it at the top here, is your is sort of telling the boiler what you want it to do. All right, so if I go up 1 or up 2, you see there it says 40 and 60. So wherever it says 40 or 60, that's hot water. All right, 40 degrees, 60 degrees of hot water. All right, so that's telling the boiler right now to heat the water up inside of it to 60 degrees. The bottom one, in fact, no, sorry, we'll stay on the top one for now. So if you go up, it's hot water only. Back to the middle, turns the boiler off entirely. Down 1, you've just got a little gas flame, and so that's heating only, so no hot water, just heating. And if I go down 1 more, you've got the gas flame and 60 degrees hot water. So down 1 or down 2 is heating, and down 1 is heating only, and down 2 is heating and hot water at the same time. Okay, so some people call going up is your summer setting, because you just get hot water, and some people say that going down is your winter setting, because you can either have heating only or heating and hot water, because obviously in the winter you're going to need both. So that's the top one, that's telling the boiler what to do. Up is hot water, down is heating, down at the very bottom is heating and hot water. The one underneath is even, it's really nice and simple. Where it is at the moment is gas only, so that's telling the boiler what energy to use to do whatever you're telling it to do up here. Where it is now is gas only. If I go up 1, I'll be using electric only, and up 2 is also electric only, but it's basically a little bit more electric. So if you had a hookup cable plugged into the vehicle, you could go 1 up or 2 up, and then whatever you tell the boiler to do up here, it will do via the electric element only, no gas. So back to the middle is gas only. Down 1 or down 2 is gas and electric at the same time. So if you had a gas bottle switched on like I do at the moment, and you had an electric hookup cable plugged into the vehicle, you could go all the way down to the bottom on this one, and if you wanted hot water only, you go up to 40 or up to 60. So right now it would light up on gas and heat up the electric element if I had an electric hookup cable plugged in, and it will be doing hot water at 60. If I go all the way up to the top, nothing will work because I've got no electric cable plugged in, but I'll be using electric only to do hot water at 60. Or I could use the way that I can use it at the moment, which is the gas at hot water at 60, or gas only for heating only. All right, so it's entirely up to you how you want to use it, but that's the way. So I hope that makes sense. You know, I'm sorry if it doesn't, but that's the way it works. You do get used to it really quickly. But if you need, you know, any more advice on that, you know, there will be paperwork for it in the cupboard there, or, you know, obviously just pop back past or give us a ring. We'll run you through it. But yeah, that's the way it works. Really nice flexible units. If you know, the fact that you can do any of the things that the boiler can do on either gas or electric or both is, you know, fantastic. When you come to sort of wild camping, obviously you're not going to have access to a hookup cable, but you will have gas and all that kind of stuff. So that's that. Skylight up here opens up, twist this round and round, and then the actual skylight itself just opens up like that. The reason I'm showing you this one, the skylights are so easy to use, I'm not going to run through the other ones, but I will show you this. So you'll see what happens is it's not quite down yet. When it actually hits the bottom, like that, so it's hit the bottom now, but I can still carry on going on this dial. All right, the reason for that is, if I show you, right, so if I just put it down, so it's just touched the bottom now, I can still now move this whole thing up and down. It's about 4 inches of play. So that play won't go away until you carry on turning this, even though it's touched the bottom already. Carry on going until the handle stops and you can put it away. And then now look, absolutely no play in that at all. So just make sure that you remember to do that. Otherwise, I think I've covered about everything. Main things to remember is, you know, looking after your boiler, which, like I said to you, it will drop itself out of water if it has to when it gets too cold. So just bear that in mind when you come back to using it after it's been cold outside for a little while. Double check that little lever in the back is in its upright position, and then pull the water through like I showed you, and just make sure that the water comes through okay on hot and cold. Sometimes it can be worth to do that at every tap, so you're even the toilet as well, by the way, because that's on the same system. If you get into the van after not using it for a few months or so, fill it up with water, put your pump on, and then just pour the water through each tap, hot and cold, until you get no air coming out through the taps whatsoever. And then you'll find that the pump won't want to purge any water at any point, and, you know, it'll all be nice and pressurized and working nicely. Other than that, if you're going to start driving, make sure all of your windows are shut. I will just show you this window here because it's on. Oh, that window there's the same, so helpful to you to show you. To open these windows are a little bit strange. Push the red button in there, turn this upright, and then push the window out. That will then open up and clip in until you bring it back. So they're really nice and secure. That's the reason why they do them like that. But yeah. So I think I've shown you everything I can. If there's anything else you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.